Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about an author that has been on my radar, but I haven't really read any of her stuff. Well, I didn't anyway. I wasn't sure whether this author was horror related or whether she did other stuff, as I have heard about her work from a couple of booktubers, most notably is E.D. Lewis Reviews and Regina's Haunted Library, which have done numerous videos based around this author. But when I went into my local secondhand charity shop thing about a couple of weeks ago, I saw a bunch of her work and I was looking all through them, and my eye came to this book, and which I'll show you in a minute, and I just thought, okay, it's a mini series. It's got numerous stories in it that are related but kind of aren't related, and it was cheap, and I thought, well, why not? And that is Orphans by VC Andrews. I'm not sure, well, I don't think her work is horror related, but it does focus around some horrific things, most notably about the human condition, about how we interact with each other. And I mean, this focuses around parents, and what they kind of do is questionable. And I mean, I've only read one story. It's got 4 stories in this, which is related to 4 of the girls. So these are called Butterfly, Crystal, Brooke, and Raven. I wasn't going to do this video. I was just going to talk about the book at the end when I finished it as a whole. But I thought I would at least rate and talk about each of these stories separately. So the first story that I'm going to be talking about in this video is about Butterfly, or Butterfly Story. Pictures just there, and this is going to be a spoiler-free video, despite the fact that this story, or these stories, are probably old. But this is going to be a spoiler-free video, and this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings, not just regarding Butterfly Story, but also VC Andrews' writing style and what I thought about it. Butterfly, whose real name is Janet, is living in a orphanage, and she's a very small, shy girl that kind of stays away from everyone, and she's not really socially active. She is there just to exist there, and she sometimes gets picked on by the other girls there at the orphanage. At the start of the book, she is adopted by these 2 individuals, this married couple. The woman, who is called Celine, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I will have it up on the screen. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing that, but that's as probably close as I'm ever going to get it. And her husband, Sanford. Now, when they visit Janet, they are extremely thrilled and really determined to get her back home and to adopt her, even though they have all this procedure they've got to go through, and they've got to jump through all these hoops and fill out all these forms. Celine is like saying, no, I want Janet. I want to adopt her. I want her to be my daughter, even though I'm pretty sure she never uses the word daughter referring to Janet, but that's what she wants. And the orphanage are like, we will accommodate that. It's a bit unusual, but we will do that. So they take her back home, and Janet is all thrilled and excited, as you can possibly imagine, about having a family, and having a whole room all to herself, and having a whole house. She's overwhelmed by all this. But it is quickly told by Janet, from Celine herself, that she wants Janet to be a dancer. She says that she's observed her at the orphanage, and she says that the way that she stands and moves and walks is very like being a dancer. She sees that She has great posture, and she can see something in Janet that is great, and that she wants her to become a dancer. More specifically, she wants her to be a ballerina, and we are straight away told or informed that Sea Lion was once a um, ballerina herself, but following a accident which we don't really know the full ins and outs of, as far as I can tell or picture in my mind, because it's referred or mentioned or nudged at rather, that Sanford was driving her somewhere, and they got into a car accident, and which is no fault of his own. I think it was like a accident that happened, um, which resulted in her being in a wheelchair, and because she was wheelchair bound, she couldn't dance. So a whole world, a whole existence shattered, because her whole existence, her whole identity was dancing. That's all she ever did. I don't really think that she even loves Sanford. She kind of treats him as more of a employee, a servant, a slave. There really isn't that much intimacy, or even if there's really any intimacy whatsoever. Um, but Sanford is a very patient man. He's a very loving man, and he will do anything for his wife. But he's more of a father figure towards Janet than Sea Lion is throughout this whole book. He gives you, well, he gave me the impression that he um wouldn't mind if Janet did anything. He just loves her and wants the best for her. But Sea Lion, because of accident and because all she ever knew and did was dancing, she obsessed about it. She ate, breathed it, she lived dancing. That's all she did. But when this accident happened and it left her in a wheelchair, and her whole world crumbled before her eyes, that completely shattered her. So that is why when she saw Janet, she adopted her. Again, this isn't specified, she doesn't actually say this, but when you're reading this, you know that the only reason why she adopted Janet is because she wanted to live out her dreams, her dancing fantasies, through this girl that she is somehow seen as a dancer. And it kind of reminded me a lot about some like TV shows. I won't mention any names, but you know the shows where the kids just want to be kids, but the parents kind of force their hopes and dreams and what they wanted to be onto the child. And I mean, despite whether they want to do it or not, and if they had any hopes and dreams about being something and they couldn't be there, or their time has passed, they want to try to force that onto the child and live out their dreams through the child that they got. This is what that story is. And Janet is like saying, well, she doesn't really think that she's a dancer. She's never done any dancing. She's done dancing, but she's never really thought about it as a passion or an interest. But she wants to try to please Sea Lion and just go along with it, because she's been given this great opportunity about having a family, about having a house, having all this money. Sea Lion spends a lot of money on Janet. She like spends loads of money on tuition, dance tuition, obviously, the ballerina outfit, the shoes. She spends loads of money. Again, it isn't specified about how much money she actually spends on her, but it is a lot. So Janet kind of puts up with it, and she's having all these like dance lessons with this top ballerina teacher that taught Sea Lion back in the day. And when I was getting to that part of the story, I was thinking about, okay, what is this really high demand teacher that is going to teach and see Janet dance for the very first time. Because this teacher is like the cream of the crop. She's very hard to teach her children. She's very expensive, and she is very, very strict. So I'm thinking, okay, she's going to think that Janet is rubbish, and she's going to absolutely tear into her. Never does. She does have some criticisms here and there about, oh, you could do this pose better, or you could do that better. But she never really rips into Janet. There is a boy that is there to, like, be there to help Janet in these dancing moves, which he is a very dedicated dancer, dances all he knows. And there is scenes in this where he takes advantage of Janet, not strictly sexually, sort of anyway. He kind of looks down on Janet, and he does try to fondle her and all that. So, but it's never like, gone, like the full distance. But that bit was a bit uncomfortable. And Janet's social life, she doesn't really have one. She's in school, but school isn't a big part of this book. It is briefly mentioned, but there are never really like characters from her school that she's friends with, and we don't really spend that much time in the school environment. Sea-Lion even doesn't even want her to actually go to school. All she wants her to do is focus on dance, and that's all she wants to do. Hell, even when she's sick, she's got a cold in this book, and the doctors have come and diagnosed her and said that she's got rest, and Sanford has said that she's got rest as well. But she's like, no, forget that. She is dancing. She's just a bit under the weather, but she will dance. And as time goes on, Janet learns to accept this, the fact that she's going to be a dancer, and she just wants to please her adopted parents. That's all she wants to do. But Sea-Lion is always like pushing her to be the best, be a really excellent ballerina, and see her perform on stage. It's very upsetting that she does this because, well, it's very upsetting for any parent to do. You shouldn't really like force your child to be something that you couldn't be. Like if you were a footballer and you were like the best in your team, and you got into an accident and you couldn't perform and you couldn't play the sport anymore, and that's all you wanted to actually do and be. And when you have a a son, you shouldn't really force that sport onto the child. Yes, you can watch football matches together, obviously, and be incredibly into sports with each other, but you shouldn't really force your child to relive your dreams that you wanted to do because your time has passed. I mean, I would just let your child just be whatever they want to be, whether it's what you wanted to do when you were their age or not. Anyway, at the end of the book, I won't spoil what happens at the end of the book, but at the end there is this massive big deal dance recital that Butterfly or Janet has to go to and perform. But due to events that she can't really attend that, and that absolutely shatters Sea-Lion, and it tips her right over the edge. And I won't say what she does or what happens, but the ending of this book was extremely upsetting because as I said, all Janet wanted was to have a family, to have a house, to be loved in that whole setting, like any orphan does, I guess. And it didn't really turn out the way that she wanted. I mean, apart from Sea Lion pushing her and pushing her to be a dancer, something that she never mentioned that she ever wanted to be or have a passion for, they weren't really um, verbally or physically abusive towards her. They never shout. Well, occasionally, Sea Lion did shout at her, but they never demeaned her or swore at her. They never hit her or locked her in a room or punished her in any way. The ending of this book was really sad, as I really felt for Janet at the end. And you may be wondering, well, why is she called Butterfly? And that's something that I'm questioning as well, because she's only, I think, only briefly mentioned as Butterfly in kind of a small handful of times. It's not really like a nickname. It's what she is occasionally referred to as, but it's not really throughout the whole book. The whole book she's referred to as Janet. It's only like a sprinkling of the time she's referred to as a Butterfly. So I really like this book. It had a nice flow to it. There wasn't any parts of it where I got stuck or where I was bored. It was a pleasure to read this, even though it's not horror. Well, not in the strictest sense. I'm not sure whether after reading Orphans that I will be reading much of V.C. Andrews. I mean, after this, I will be going on to the last book in this series, which is called Runaways. Probably won't be for some time yet. But after that, I'm not sure what I'll be going to next. Probably the obvious one is Flowers in the Attic. But I really enjoyed Butterfly's story. And yeah, it was kind of a breath of fresh air to read something that wasn't full of blood, guts, and horrific scenes. And to read something, I wouldn't say calming, but really down to earth and very realistic, and with a kind of a sprinkling of horror, which is, well, comes from the fact that she was forced to do something that she didn't want to do, and she never expressed that she wanted to actually be a dancer. So guys, that has been my kind of review of Butterfly from V.C. Andrews. Let me know, have you read this story? Have you read the Orphans book? What did you think about it? Let me know whose story you prefer better. I've just started Crystal's story. I'm not super far into that yet. And let me know if you have any other recommendations, apart from Flowers in the Attic, obviously, that you think I should read from this author next. I wasn't going to rate these stories, but I think if I had to, I would probably rate Butterfly Story as a 4 stars out of 5. So guys, that's been my video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully this was entertaining enough. Once again, I'm not sure if I will be talking a lot about V.C. Andrews outside of the Orphans series, but who knows, maybe this is going to be a new author that I will it'll be more of a comfort read, I guess. So thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video.